The baseline is fair trade, right? That's what they want. Free trade.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they want, right? So if that is the case, then there's enough appetite from elected conservatives to say, I don't need Trump's endorsement. In fact, it may be the poison pill. Like, I don't need it because I can count on their money. So I'm going to initiate articles of impeachment, or I'm going to initiate a motion to vacate Mike Johnson, or all these things.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll see what's going to happen.
This is where you see the return. This is why I was saying the blue dog Democrats, because that's where Reagan Democrats come from, right?
Correct.
Is that even in the slightly purple districts, if a progressive person has two choices, voting for MAGA or voting for somebody who becomes a Reagan Republican, the Reagan Republican is going to win every single time.
No doubt.
Right. But it will be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what John Roberts has to say with his little pause that he put on there. But more importantly, I think what we're going to see first, domino falling, is I think Mike Johnson within the next 3 to 4 months loses the speakership because what they're going to come to the conclusion to is that the midterms are already, it's too late. There's not enough time to pivot and save themselves. So they're not just going to lose the House. There's going to be a whole lot of state houses too that are going to going to be going through some things.
And I think you might be right about that. It's going to take 9 votes, though, for a motion to vacate. Hi, Lisa. How are you this morning? Thank you for your patience. What's on your mind?
It's no problem. Good morning. So I'm a Danican, and I know, Steve, that you know what that is. Danny Cook, yeah. So something that we've been talking about lately is that Trump is pretty much not in charge, right? I mean, he made a deal to stay out of prison, right? And he likes the pomp and circumstance, right? That he wanted to be president again. But, we have like 2 factions that kind of made Trump a deal. We will keep you out of prison. You do what we say once you're in there. We got the Heritage Boys, the Project 2025. They're in charge right now, for the most part. A lot of people think Elon is, but it seems like they're in charge. A lot of the policies that are coming out right now, Heritage, Foundation, Project 2025, all the way, including the Alien whatever Insurrection Act. Everybody's
Alien Enemies Act,
that they're trying to do. That whole thing is their baby, and then you have the tech bros. And they kind of made an alliance with the Project 2025 guys. And once Trump is gone, which I 110% believe that they will get rid of him when he becomes too much of a liability. And then it's the tech bros' turn, right? And J.D. Vance is their boy. Mm-hmm. Madeline, what Madeline says, I don't know if anybody knows who that is. Anyway, I think she's been on here a couple times. But she's been talking about this like extensively. She put up all kind of videos about the history of J.D. Vance, Peter Thiel, that whole thing, and how Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, the whole PayPal, group of guys, has like kind of put J.D. Vance in this position. And so everything doesn't go away, and all the bad stuff doesn't go away with Trump. It is just the point I want to make, because I feel like I'm so afraid that if we get rid of Trump, everybody's going to go back and say, okay, we're good. We did it, guys. Yay. And our problems are only just beginning.
I don't disagree with you. I think that's a really, really valid point. And somebody who made a comment that said they won't, I forget what the comment was. I want to make sure I have it exactly. They said they won't get rid of him because they're too scared of MAGA. No, they're too scared of not having anybody provide enough money to fund their campaigns. And I think like we say every single day in this space, it's follow the money. So you need millions of dollars to get elected, sadly, in our country, to have a federal election, Senate or the House. If there is enough appetite for more traditional conservatives, whatever the fuck that is, for the purpose of this argument, let's just talk about traditional conservatives, right? Which would be the Koch brothers, right? They believe in these traditional Republican politics. If they are committed to funding the resistance on the right, then they don't have to worry about the MAGA voter. They really don't, because it's about money. It's ultimately about the money, right? So they can put out anti-trans ads in communities. They can put out anti-immigration ads in communities. They can still do the same thing that they've been doing now. What we know is unless Trump is on the ballot, it's difficult for down ballot Republicans to win. So they have to shift that paradigm by just investing more. And again, like you said, it's backdoor deals. It's like, you promise me something, I'll give you something. That's politics. We like it or hate it. That's part of it. That's why you see earmarks in bills. That's why you see a lot of fat, as they say, in bills, because everybody wants something. Some people have a vested interest in trying to make their communities better. Many don't. That's the problem. It's about the money. If there's enough of an appetite for conservatives in the House and in the Senate to say, we've lost our party. We should have known better. We are losing our party. I'm going to ask for money. I'm going to see if we can separate from this thing. And if we can get enough people on board, then the game's over. To your point, though, it is the tech bros, which is why you need to have people like Mike Johnson out of power. So because he has proven that he is not going to stand up to Trump. Mm-hmm. People in the Senate, people like John Thune, who is a pretty decent person, in air quotes, he's not going to necessarily bend the knee. But he's got enough people in his caucus because of the margin right now. He doesn't have to go against Trump. If there's enough appetite from other conservatives in the Senate, that's how you shift the needle.
So I take your point, and I think I agree with it. So what you're saying, like short term, like those in power, we're going to have to deal with that until the 4 years is up, because JD Vance is going to do whatever JD Vance is going to do, even if Trump is gone. But get rid of Trump, and it's hard for the Republicans to win elections.
It is. It's really hard for them.
And so long term, get rid of Trump, and we're and it's good. I mean, we have a good chance of turning this around, but we're still going to be dealing with JD Vance and the Heritage and all the tech bros until the 4 years is up.
JD Vance is horribly unpopular.
Yeah,
I don't worry about JD Vance becoming the next president. He is horribly unpopular. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the point is that you can cut the head off the snake by eliminating Trumpism, and that requires courageous conservatives in the House and the Senate to do so.
Yeah. I think Mike, I agree with you 100%. Long term, I think that they're done, right? I think that this is the last, a big breath of this fascist, whatever this thing is that they're doing. Yep. But short term, that's like I'm saying, just in this administration, these 4 years, we are stuck. Like, we're not getting rid of Trump does not get rid of these policies, because JD Vance is just going to continue them. I
agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
So it's like we got to keep an eye on the ball until we can get into the end zone. Is that right?
Exactly. Exactly. Keep moving the ball down the field. Exactly.
Yes.
No, you're right, Lisa.
All right.
I appreciate that. Thanks for jumping in today. You got it. See you later. She's right. I mean, obviously, it's a different engine when you're talking about. Keep in mind, the people that put Trump in the White House are the ones that are benefiting from the stock market losing $11 trillion since Inauguration Day. By the way, it's up 1,400 points. So MAGA is now going to go out and talk about the economic recovery. The tariffs are working. No, there's always a bottom. $11 trillion of wealth, not lost, transferred. Don't forget, the U.S. stock market, I think, is responsible for 70% of global investment. So the globe invests in the Dow and the NASDAQ and the S&P.
Yeah.
They all stand to get rich. Again, the billionaire class enriching themselves every time there's a down market, every time there's a crash, every time there's a downturn. The people with capital are the ones that can make the ones who can recover. So that wealth shifting away from your retirement funds, your 401k, whatever it might be, is not just being burned with a match. It's just ending up in another velvet line pocket.
Yeah. Hey, one thing, and I keep forgetting this.
Yes.
When people use the term tech bro, I think what they're meaning to say is white Christian nationalist Caucasian male.
Fair.
Because to be fair, right? The queer persons that own Neptune would probably politely push back on that term.
That's fair.
Just because you're in fintech or technology doesn't make you a tech bro. And I just I just want to be careful about how we say certain things, right? Because are we saying like all dudes in tech are tech bros? Because that's not true.
Of course.
What we know is that Peter Thiel and his minions, right, um, hate themselves if they are queer because they're anti-queer while being queer, and they are all white Christian nationalists, right?
Yeah.
Those are the things that are true.
I like Benny's term. It's the broligarchy. I think that's a
The
better way to say it,
oligarchy.
to be honest.
Nice.
I like that.
Nice.
Hooked, how are you today? Hooked on a feeling. Good morning. Okay. Thank you for being here. Everybody, again, please keep tapping and sharing. Let me just double check on a couple of things. Thank you to Amanda. Stand by. Tech issues. By the way, we do apologize that we had an issue with the YouTube stream, but we are back streaming again. Thank you to Angela. Appreciate your kind contribution to what we do here. Also, thank you to Marcus. And thank you to the interwebs are. By the way, Obi, it's still
Yes,
snowing.
sir.
It's still snowing here.
It is still snowing.
I don't want to hear anything about your weather because we're friends at the moment. Catherine,
I mean,
thank you for your kind contribution.
It's only going to be 80 today.
Like I said, I have the power of the kick. Don't make me do
Hey,
it.
listen. I just want to make sure that the snow is not going to impact our friends at Whistle Pig.
They'll be fine. They will be totally fine.
Because that syrup, every time I have that syrup, I'm like,
yeah, I told you.
There's syrup, and now there's this. I think I've ruined any other kind of syrup from ever being atop a piece of French toast or pancake in this house.
Newshound, due respect, friend, you've been a supporter for a very long time, but you said it's ick in California. So listen, here's the thing. When you get to early April in Vermont, it's 45 degrees. Vermonters are outside with their shirts off. You get that fine, distinct smell of the dog shit that is thawed. Now it's just frosting on top of the mud and the dog shit, which adds a different layer of olfactory influence, if you follow me. So you can take your ick. I'm sorry, but you're still in Cali. Good morning, Mew. Thank you for allowing me to rant. How are you today?
I'm good. I haven't been able to change my names because I have not been able to figure that out yet.
It's okay.
I will say about the last person who talked, she talked about Vance being the next VP or the next president. I had to triple look today. I drive a school bus, so I see a lot of back of the cars, and I saw someone with a Vance 2028 bumper sticker today.
Yeah, not surprising.
It grossed me out.
Yeah, I mean, again, he is wildly unpopular. And I think the whole point of what it was a strategy because of the Midwest voters, because of Appalachia. So it's a political strategy, but he's just wildly unpopular. He's not electable.
Yeah, I don't think so at all, but it's crazy that people are already putting out those signs.
Let them do it. Let them.
Yeah.
Well, this is part of and we talked about this briefly about how the reason that Trump is talking about running for a third term is he does not want to be considered a lame duck. So constitutionally, he can't run again. But lame ducks in our political speak have no power. People look past the lame duck because they're thinking about the next iteration. So the reason he keeps talking about running for a third term is because he wants the spotlight to remain on him. So the first day that JD Vance goes out and starts talking about the future of his presidency is the day that JD Vance is parking cars at Applebee's. If you get my drift.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Facts. Thank you for all you do in Obi-Wan.
Thank you. Have a good day. See you later. Okay. Where was I? This is, I want to play a little bit more sound. I think this is interesting because, well, as a reminder, friends, I just want you to know that the twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster convicted felon goes to Walter Reed for his annual physical on Friday. And I'm sure they are going to be completely transparent with all the results. There's no doubt in my mind that he will be he'll deem himself the most perfect specimen and he will have a clean bill of health, and he will be considered a chiseled Adonis, because that's what we'll hear come Monday morning from KKK Caroline Levitt. This is Donald Trump speaking about NATO. Now, I've always made the point that I don't think he knows, first of all, what NATO is. I don't think he could name more than 3 countries that are in NATO. I'd be stunningly surprised if he could. I don't say that to be hyperbolic. I just don't think he could. Okay? So this is what he had to say recently when asked about NATO.
This is how brain dead Donald Trump is. Take a look.
And you know, the biggest problem I have with NATO, I really, I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine.
I know the guys very well. They're friends of mine. Okay.
But if the United States was in trouble and we called them, we said, we got a problem. France, we got a problem. A couple of others. I won't
He could have given in the name of any other NATO country, but he didn't.
mention. Do you think they're going to come and protect us? They're supposed to. I'm not so sure.
He says he's not.
So a reminder that Article 5 of the NATO Charter requires if one NATO country is attacked, then every other NATO country comes to that defense. It's only been exercised once since its inception. And Obi, care to enlighten the crowd as to the only time Article 5 has ever been enacted?
It was that time that Saudi Arabia sent its citizens to fly airplanes into 2 buildings in New York City. Let's not
Correct.
forget, Saudi Arabia is the reason that happened. And perhaps we could talk about all the winning that's happening with Trump in Saudi Arabia and the supposed golf games that he's winning.
Correct. So again, think about what he said there. Like, I know the guys personally. They're friends of mine. Like, he thinks it's like a club.
Well, I was just going to say everything. If you, when he talks about this stuff, here's what I imagine. I imagine like, what he would refer to as the good old days, the 60s and 70s where only white men were allowed to golf at certain clubs.
Yeah.
And they come in with their metal spikes and they sit down on their mahogany leather chairs and they take their spikes off and they have their alcohol and cigars and talk about all the things that, racists and bigots talk about while in public, while they think the public isn't looking.
Uh-huh.
Everything he does is in relationship to him wanting to go back to being able to say the following out loud. And I quote, "Well, they don't look like Indians to me."
Exactly. Oh God, I remember that one. That was horrible. Oh man, there's been some bad ones that he's said.
And that one is specific to people who live in New England know that one very, very well, right?
Yeah.
As it relates to casinos, right?
Absolutely.
And remember, he's always said the following: "Well, I think it's unfair."
Of course.
Right? Through that whole testimony.
It's a big injustice against him.
Right. Because they don't look something to him, as if he's the arbiter of anything.
Hi.
Gina, how are you today?
Getting hot?
Gina?
Cold,
Are you
yeah.
there?
I got 2 shirts on and 2 pairs of pants on.
I appreciate that,
Hey, now.
Gina, but I don't think I want to know any more about what your attire is. So let's leave that conversation immediately.
I mean, I am kind of curious as to why someone has to wear that many clothes, but I guess not everyone can live in California.
Well, it's because it's 35 fucking degrees in Vermont and snowing. Hi, Devo. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So first of all, how do I follow that last person talking about their shirts and pants?
Hey now.
No, I just wanted to come up and first of all, I love your show. I listen every morning that you're on.
Thank you.
And I unfortunately punish myself and I go listen to MAGA Lies. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. And the latest thing that they're saying now with regards to the stock market tanking is that, well, majority of Americans can't afford investments, so therefore we're fine.
Exactly.
What does that even mean?
Well, it goes even deeper. It goes even deeper than that. It goes that now they're saying that Trump is working on crashing the stock market so that the billionaires suffer because he's looking out for us.
And
they actually believe that.
And they were asked, well, okay, so he crashes it, but so what's his plan to fix it? Well, he's just going to fix it. Okay, well, where can we read that detailed plan? Well, actually, one MAGA actually said, a good businessman never tells his secrets. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Pardon my language. This is unbelievable.
Okay. You don't need to fucking apologize.
But that's the latest in that. Then they started doing all their own personal stories. Well, I had to raise all these kids. I couldn't invest in the stock market. But once again, when I hear them talking, that goes back to the MAGA me. I don't have investments. This doesn't affect me. So therefore, fuck the rest of the world. So once again, I just hear that me. And someone else actually said, well, you know, why don't people just like pull all their money out of their account when they retire? It's like, that's not how that works.
Well, this is an example. I don't know if you joined us last week, but last week we did a live and dedicated to cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. And these are great examples, right? So because we know that there are at least 77 million Americans who don't bother to look past the headline, they will literally just believe what they're told. So because the right-wing echo chamber is now saying, well, the American dream's not about flat screen TV, so don't worry about it. Housing costs will come down. Meanwhile, they're not. All these kinds of things. The price of oil is now dropping to record levels. Well, the price of oil, once it gets to $60 a barrel, it's like the magic number, they cap the wells. They don't drill anymore. You would think because they didn't run, the campaign wasn't about oil prices. It was about gas prices. This is about the spin. So the right is going to take the hook once again and say, okay, well, oil prices are down. See? Trump did what he promised. Oil prices are down. No, he promised you gas prices were going to go down, and they haven't. He promised you egg prices were going to go down, and they've gone down from being up 69%, but they're still up 50%.
Oh, absolutely. So 2 years ago, I used to be able to get a dozen of just generic eggs, not even cage fed, for like $2.50. Now I look, it's $6 at least for those.
Exactly. So this is the dangerous cycle, the information overload, the massive the muzzle velocity of mis and disinformation. This is the problem that we have. And this is a strategy from the right. They will move the goalposts no matter what. It doesn't matter that Donald Trump did not attend a distinguished transfer ceremony at Dover. It mattered that Joe Biden looked at his watch. It doesn't matter that the economy has crashed under Donald Trump. What matters is he told his base that if Kamala was elected, the economy would crash. It doesn't matter that gas prices are going up, not down, because he told his base. Now they're telling his base that the cost of oil has come down. So it's just a constant game of moving the goalposts.
And if Kamala was in office right now, well, she wouldn't let what's happening happen. But if it was crashing like this, they would be blaming her up, down, left, right, crucifying her, all of that. So anyways, it's so it's just we're only not even 100 days in. 2.5 months in, and I'm exhausted. However, do you think that the Republican, like that there will be Republicans that will finally stand up and start pushing towards like articles of impeachment? Do you think they'll actually start doing that?
I don't know. I mean, I think the first thing I think we should be looking at, and I did this breakdown earlier about apparently there's a group of roughly 9 senators and a similar number in the House that are willing to introduce resistance to Trump tariff policies in particular. And the conservative, more moderate members of the House are now there's reporting, and we can take it for what it's worth. There's reporting that they are part of the resistance to the Trump agenda, specifically as it relates to tariffs. Long story short, they are asking for Congress to rein in some of the power the executive branch has under Article 2 of the Constitution. Right? So they're asking, that's what they want to do. So the pressure then to put on Mike Johnson to say, we want you to introduce this legislation on the floor. If he doesn't, then that same group of people say, then we will initiate motions to vacate and you lose your speakership. That's what we need. I don't know if they're going to go so far as to impeach. I don't know if they're going to go that far, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I
just don't know why, like, what the Republicans are so scared of about Trump. I guess I don't get that. Like, what?
Money.
Just they want to, because they want to keep their spots.
Correct.
Get their money.
It's about money. The entire thing's about money. It's not that they're afraid of Trump. They're afraid that if they go against Trump and then there's no money from the conservative donors that prop up Republican campaigns, then they won't win their seat. Now that we know that Koch and Leonard Leo have come out and said, listen, we believe in free trade, and these tariff policies are go against a conservative, a typical fundamental principle of conservatism is free trade. If they can commit to funding these reelection campaigns, then in theory they don't need Trump. At least in their mind, they're stuck. They're really, really stuck.
Yeah.
They have to hope that enough Republicans in the House in particular are done with this so they can take some of that power back, because they're likely going to lose the midterms anyway. The question now is how many of them can potentially win their seats, especially in swing districts, especially in districts they only won by a few points. Because if the margin suddenly goes from 5 or 6 votes to 20 or 25 votes, then you're talking about massive changes in legislation. And if that happens and elected Democrats don't step the fuck up and do things that their electorate has been talking about for a very long time, then fuck them too.
I agree, and I'm a generally Democrat. My values lean that way, and I'm not blaming Republicans for everything. I'm blaming the Democrats equally for not not growing a pair and stepping the fuck up. And the MAGA talking point is, well, Democrats' approval rating's at 21%. And I was like, good, it should be, because they're not doing what they should. Like, you're not upsetting me by saying that. I completely agree with that. They need to step it up. So I'm not blaming all Republicans. The Democrats need to get their shit together. So
well, I mean, we can certainly blame the majority of the blame certainly does go on to the conservatives, because
I'm not putting sole blame on them.
Exactly. They knew exactly what they were going to get, and now they're paying for it. So, but thanks for jumping in today, Devo. I appreciate you. Have a good
All right,
day.
thank you. Have a great day.
I want to point out something that Warner brought up, and you brought up a very, very good point. The watch that Joe Biden was looking at during that Distinguished Transfer ceremony was his son, Bo's.
Yes.
So let's keep that in mind, because first of all, that was such bullshit that he even got any criticism.
I was just about to bring that up, because people keep pointing to that, and respectfully, I would ask that people stop doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I was just trying to make
I listen, I get that. And I don't like gatekeep on too many things, but when a I can't remember what star it is. He would have, if Bo was still around, he'd be a blue star father, right? Gold star would be MIA, KIA, and then there's another star for people who have lost their child as a result of the duty, right?
Oh, right. Okay, I see what you're saying. There's distinctions. Gotcha.
Yes, there are distinctions. You are actually honoring those men that were coming off of the plane by remembering why you're there.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
He was specifically there because and still, like, I guarantee you, if they had asked him to show up, he would have fucking shown up.
Absolutely.
Right? Because he understands the word honor, and that's what looking at the watch was. It was a sign of respect and honoring everybody, specifically his son.
Correct. Utopia, how are you today?
I'm good. The market has slightly gotten some sanity, but I'm afraid that the repairs that may be needed, because the way Trump is doing is, imagine there's 180 cars all on the freeway and driving, and suddenly this huge trailer truck that's called the USA suddenly throws like a whole opens a whole container of spanners and just throws it on the road. and everybody is in danger on that freeway now. No one is safe. Let's take it like this is Fast and Furious. No one is safe, even the trailer itself, because you never know what's going to hit. A recession isn't something that you can orchestrate. If it was, let's look at the past 10 Fed chairmen. Look at all the past, none of them could speak with such certainty. The way MAGA is talking, I don't know, unless they have better education and they have better data points.
I would challenge that a little bit to say that, that you can't orchestrate a recession. I think that what we're seeing, like we've talked about, because the initiative generated, or I should say the tariff plan, there's no one who would have known, there's no one that could have said that what's happening was not going to happen. That was predicted. So we know that the stock market crashing is a direct result of economic policies. There's no one to say that wasn't going to happen. Everybody knew it was. So I think that was orchestrated. I firmly believe that this was done so that the billionaire class can enrich themselves at the expense of the American consumer. And if it falls again, what was the growth of the GDP? I think it cratered. So I do think you can certainly orchestrate it. I really do. And this is why I say we have to stop thinking that you can't do something, or that we have laws against that, or we have the Constitution, because we are seeing the lines being not just blurred, but erased.
Yeah.
With you, and I'm not saying that we can't. I'm saying that the way MAGA has been giving an excuse, because the most of the time they'll excuse him for various reasons, or because of this, because of that, and sometimes you try to do devil's advocate, and you go, okay, let me play on your side, and we play ops, and we'll try to think like you, but the thing is, we need to warn them that, yes, I 100% agree with you that those have been playing the futures market, and like yesterday, what time is it now on your side? I'm so sorry.
10:47 a.m. Eastern time.
Exactly. So yesterday around the same time, there was suddenly this rumor that there was a 90-day tariff delay, and the market, when it was like a whiplash. I mean, if you were driving, it was going down, it was all red, and suddenly it went into green territory. If you were in the car, you needed to go to ICU because you were going to get whiplash. And
it's so true. So true.
Yep.
Yes, so most markets would actually shut down for 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, maybe then half an hour, then maybe 2 hours, sometimes even shut down for even a day. Like I think for the Japanese market did shut down recently, and even for even when they have earthquakes, they also shut down their markets. So that rumor should have shut down the market. And if it was a normal, let's say Kamala was in office, there would be a committee of inquiry. There would be so many committee of inquiry if there was signal.
Of course there would. Of course there would.
So the way Trump is doing is he's upping the ante of chaos, And I've been asking in various panels I'm afraid that he might push the red button, not the Coca-Cola button, but the new button, and that's what I'm afraid of.
I'm not there yet, because there's numerous safeguards in place for things like that. But I appreciate you jumping in today, Utopia. Thank you for being here, friend. You have a good day. Thanks a lot. I want to play a little. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Obi. You want to say something?
I just put in the mod chat in Discord. GDP Now.
Yep. Saw that.
It's a good resource. People should, mods, if you could share that out. It's not the official Atlanta Fed, but it comes from the same modeling, and it's a really good resource if people want to understand these types of things.
Guesstimate the economy to retract by 2.8%, the GDP in particular.
Which is not good, by the way.
Which is not good at all. All right, I'm going to play some sound from this gentleman's name's David Brooks. He is a conservative journalist.
Oh yeah.
And I've listened. I've read his stuff before. smart guy. I don't always agree with his politics, but I think he has a pretty interesting breakdown of what we're seeing.
I was nauseated. I just nauseated. All my life I've had a certain idea about America, that we're a flawed country, but we're fundamentally a force for good in the world. That we defeated Soviet Union, we defeated fascism, we did the Marshall Plan, we did PEPFAR to help people live in Africa. And we make mistakes, Iraq, Vietnam, but they're usually mistakes out of stupidity, naivete, and arrogance. They're not because we're ill-intentioned. What I've seen over the last 6 weeks is the United States behaving vilely to our friends in Canada and Mexico, vilely to our friends in Europe, and today was the bottom of the barrel, vilely to a man who was defending Western values at great personal risk to him and his countrymen. Donald Trump believes in one thing. He believes that might makes right. And in that, he agrees with Vladimir Putin, that they are birds of a feather. And he and Vladimir Putin together are trying to create a world that's safe for gangsters, where ruthless people can thrive. And we saw the product of that effort today in the Oval Office. And at first I was thinking, am I feeling grief? Am I feeling shock, like I'm in a hallucination? But I just think shame, moral shame. It's a moral injury to see the country you love behaving this way.
You heard Congressman.
I think that's a great point, right? Making enemies out of friends. And I love the way that he brought that up. Visionary Girl, how are you today? Thanks for your patience.
No problem. I love what people are saying, and I definitely agree. Like what MAGA is doing. And I was on, I believe last week, but the girl that was talking about how the MAGA and their me kind of attitude, they're not thinking about like how that's gonna affect them, and their families. Like they may have a kid who has Sanfilippo syndrome, and think about how that kid could be losing their social security, and that's not an easy condition to deal with. That's childhood dementia, if you don't know. And the problem that I see is that like they're really not thinking about their families. They're just thinking about following the puppet master, essentially.
It's a fair point. I mean, I think we know that there's a clear line. This has been studies that people who tend to lean left tend to vote for the collective. Like, I don't vote for myself anymore. I vote for my family. I vote for your family. I vote for Obi's family, where the conservatives tend to be about themselves. And we can hear it when we speak to members of the right. They say, I'm voting for my pocketbook. I'm voting for my family. I'm voting for myself. And that's a fundamental difference when you're talking about the battle between empaths and arrogance. We want to see, I believe that all boats rise. When you can prop up the middle class and you can provide support structures for those that need it the most, our society is better. Similar principle of capitalism, which is why I was always surprised by the Joe Biden student loan relief policies got so much heat, because you'd want more people investing. You give more people more money, you give more people the opportunities to invest. It makes everything better that way. All boats rise, right?
Exactly, and that's another thing. They don't realize how expensive college is these days. I'm looking to go to school for like film and TV. The range is from anywhere from like 5,000 all the way up to like 216,000. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I just went on a college tour with my daughter in sunny California, and I'm like, I don't know how, especially now. And that's the privileged place for me to say this, but to even have the opportunity to do something like that. But it's still a reality of without federal guarantees of student loans, and you have to shop, and then you become victims to predatory lending again, and the whole thing starts all over again. And the same people that are enriching themselves off of predatory lending were just able to access trillions of dollars of wealth as Trump intentionally drove the economy into the shitter. So that's the cycle. Thank you for being here, friend. I appreciate you very much.
No problem.
Have a good day.
You too.
I'm glad that you had the David Brooks audio, and I think it's super important for people to understand that the Buckleys of the world, the Brooks of the world, are also kind of a dying form of journalism, right? Like, you don't really get that true intellectual conservative writing anymore. It's kind of gone by the wayside, but it's super important to read their works because it helps balance your own personal bias and understanding. And despite what people may think about David Brooks, he's also been at PBS since the early 2000s, right? So, if we want to talk about fair and balanced, go ahead and start reading his stuff. It's super important. He's not MAGA,
He's
right?
not.
He's a Buckley conservative,
He is.
right? Which really means a conservative Democrat in Republican clothing.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. People should, I would agree. People should research him, as we like to do on the left. And I think lots of voices and opinions, especially when it comes to economic approaches. I think it's viable. If people are sincere and educated and they're economists and they're, and they're regarded, then we should read, because there's no perfect solution to anything.
Right.
It's one thing to separate rhetoric and fucking hate from a conversation across the aisle to say, well, I believe this is a better approach to the economy and this is why. And well, I believe this is a better approach to the economy and this is why. I am so desperate to have those conversations. We'll see. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Very well. How are you?
I mean, I'm just trying to ruin people's days. So petty as fuck.
Thanks.
Not your days. So, just over here, hashtag stay petty. You should really put that on a t-shirt. Now, as I requested up when you guys started talking about this, because earlier actually, about the midterms and the 2026 election, because I see so many people hopping on board to run for office right now, and that's phenomenal. And we need lots of support to do that, because that means that we can win Congress and start making some really good changes to our government. And we need more progressives in office. I also wanted to correct one thing yesterday. So I got the count wrong for the event I was at on Saturday. It was 130 people. I just lowered it down because I thought, oh, well, there can't be this many people here. And I was wrong.
That's great.
Which is a fantastic for my district. That tells me that people are ready to see fucking change. And nobody got on to me about my cussing in my speech. So, yay.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we had this conversation, you might have been part of the panel at that time, Victoria. There was a gentleman who was up last week and he was running in a bright red district in New York. Mm-hmm. And I asked the question about, give me an example of some of your beliefs. And he said, well, I believe that we should have responsible, firearms legislation. And he said, yeah, but I would never campaign on that. I'm like, well, what do you mean you would never campaign on that? Isn't that what you believe? Mm-hmm. And I think that's part of the challenge that we see, because I want my elected officials to at least be strong in their convictions, right? So tell me what it is that you support. Malin, there you go. There you go. So maybe Malin, I'm going to invite you up. Let's talk. Come on up. Okay.
And Malin and I talked offline too. Malin and I talked offline. I'm joined the group of people who are running for U.S. Congress and or state office, and there are a lot of like you'll get a lot of people telling you how to run your campaign. A big push for my campaign was to run a moderate campaign, and I said fuck that, because I was not interested. I am not a moderate. I can speak to moderate topics, but I'm not a moderate, and that would be disingenuous for me to run as a moderate, because I'm not placating to the middle, and I don't think that we should. But every campaign is their own campaign, so they have to do what's best for them. But I agree that...
Yeah. Sorry, Victoria. I just want to address the comment. So Candy's G said this is the problem. He said he would never get elected in a red district. He's wise. I understand that from a strategy perspective, but that's not true. So Malin, welcome back. I think I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I've been
you're fine.
I've been thinking a lot about our conversation, and I think all of us are so desperate for our elected officials or potentially elected officials to stand by what they stand for. And I know I could hear it in your voice that you believe in responsible firearm legislation, but in our conversation you stated, but I could never say that publicly. And then we started having that back and forth. Have you thought any more about that since we spoke?
Yeah, I actually fired the person who was supposed to be running the campaign.
I didn't want that to happen, but you know.
Oh, no. He was very firm on nope, that can't happen. And you need to make sure that doesn't come out of your mouth. And I said, well, that's just I had a conversation with somebody and I agree entirely. common sense. Pew laws need to be a thing, and if I can't stand on business, then there's zero reason for me to even be there in the first place.
Agreed.
Exactly. Right. I mean,
And
it's a popular issue. It's an 85-15 issue in our country, much like all the things that we discuss, even women's rights to their body. Those are popular. And I think that's the resistance that I see from, due respect, the status quo Democratic mindset is that you go into these districts and you say, well, I can't get elected because if I told folks that I was anti-firearm, I'd never get elected. You're not about anti-firearm. You're about responsible legislation. And if it were me, my argument would be, I understand you feel that way, but 85% of Americans disagree with you. And I want to, because I'm going to be a federal elected official. So if it comes across my desk for a vote, I'm going to stand with the majority of Americans. And I think that's the argument. I wish more Democrats did that.
And
I think they need to.
I want to add here, I think this is really important because there is such a thing. It's such a tightrope because my campaign manager is always a little bit more conservative in how I present myself. And I do take his advice. We have a great rapport in that way. And so you need someone who understands you. You need someone who can speak on your behalf and trust you to make those decisions. But also, you're the candidate. You're the one running on these things. And I think that was the confidence that I struggled with the most in the beginning is say, no, I'm the one who had the testicular fortitude to run for office. Y'all can get fucked. Like, I'm here, I'm running. I'm not going to be an asshole unless you're MAGA, but like, I am going to run as honestly. And for the people who are like, well, you're going to lose. The goal should never be to win. The goal should be to continue to move the needle because you might not win this election, but you're going to win because like, we're just going to speak that into existence. But the goal should be to move the needle. And the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie in my red district. My red ass district don't lie. People want progressivism. And with a 5 to 6 month campaign, I was able to move the needle enough. So I say lean into those things. You can still speak to those dining room table topics while also, being authentic yourself because people want authenticity. And I'm not a cool person, guys. I am great to have a drink with, but like I'm a politician now, so like vet me.
So I want to get your thoughts on this, Malin, about how I said you made the decision to replace your campaign advisor. So where do you sit right now on your messaging?
I'm going full liberal. I'm liberal on everything. Absolutely. I believe in immigration reform entirely and making it a lot easier for citizenship to be acquired. I'm obviously common sense, pew laws. Universal health care, stand on that. I'll never move on that issue. As well as free tuition and student loan forgiveness. I think that needs to be a thing for most people. I spent way too much on the 3 times I went to college and dropped out, and I'm still paying for all of that. So I believe that an education reform as well, it needs to be had. And I don't think it starts with tearing down or dismantling the Department of Education that was built with the good of humanity in mind. So
I totally agree. See that, and that's I'm so great to hear you say that. And again, if our conversation influenced some of these changes, then that's wonderful. Because think about what it is that you just said. So this is the problem this is the issue that we fight back with. And as somebody who's worked in messaging and promotions and campaigns and has held office, these are the things that have always frustrated me. But at the same time, if I'm going to be objective, I have to give credit to the right because they position these things as radical. You talked about universal health care, radical. You talked about universal background checks and responsible gun legislation, radical. Student loan forgiveness or free affordable college, radical. Or propping up education, making our system the best, our public education system the best in the world. And I'm so glad to hear you saying I'm convicted to run on those principles because that's how we move the needle. So you say liberal, but those are progressive ideals, American progressives. The rest of the world laughs at us, but that's great.
Because we're
so grateful.
behind on these quote unquote progressive ideals, which is insane. And that's the reason we're falling behind is because we have conservatives always pulling us back. But I think it's time that they let go and we skyrocket forward like a catapult.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
There's-
Thank you. Go ahead, Victoria.
I want to say to the asshole in the comments who's like, who's going to pay for free tuition? Just real quick. Your taxes should be used to benefit the community and people and not corporations. That's what we mean. It's not actually free. It just means that you're not giving, DEI to fucking corporations.
Mediocre white men.
Yeah, and mediocre white men. I think that this is brilliant. And I said it in my speech on Saturday. I was like, there is nothing radical about wanting health care. There is nothing radical about protecting human rights. There is nothing radical because we need to start punching back. Like, and Malin, I don't know how long you followed me for. Obviously, I'm over here just on the internet just screaming at the void. But like, I appreciate that, and I think you actually spurred me off. I think that we should plan, because we're all a part of a Discord now. I think that we should plan a chat. I don't know who else has run for office before, but I want to empower every single one of you to be as bold as you want to be, within reason. Obviously, don't say any unhinged stuff that I say on the internet. Look, I take that, but I think that that's important because I think that sense of community. I felt this in this previous election, where all the candidates kind of rallied together. I think that we should do the same thing so that we can help push our messaging as one, because I think if we're consistent across the board, I think that we're going to be flipping a lot more seats. And, I just need this K Wickstar number
Let's just
to like
ignore him. So I'm going to give him an invitation right now. So Quickstar, you're here, you're chirping. So I tell you what, my guy, do me a solid. Tomorrow night, come on back and we can debate, because I'm going to start doing debate nights for people like you. And basically, it's like, are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? So tomorrow night, 7:00 Eastern time, you and me, we can have that conversation. So I will be here at 7 p.m. You can come back and we'll have that conversation. I have two simple rules. If you make a claim, you got to back it up. And if you're going to start to spew racist bullshit tropes, then I'll just kick your ass to the curb. But I will have an announcement, or I will have that platform for you, Trump supporters or Elon fanboys only. So Quickstar, are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? We'll see you tomorrow night.
Why did you pick Margarita Wednesdays? Why did you pick Margarita?
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Because I want to watch it. I'm going to be watching while I'm drinking my margaritas.
But Malin, thank you so much for jumping in today. I kind of put you on the spot, and I really appreciate what you said. And if we can help, I mean, Obi knows this, Victoria knows this, Eve knows this. I do political strategy. I'm a speechwriter, so if you ever need any help, I'd love to connect.
He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I even have a shirt with his face on it.
I'm kind of in the need of a new political strategist.
Let me know.
Also, just real quick, Victoria, did you check the Discord? I put some stuff in there this morning. It's official policy stuff that I'm working on.
I will go and look, and then we will circle back to that. I am over notified, and I'm getting lower. We're switching over for reorganization because I am now not county chair. I am officially back fully on the EC committee, and so we're working on EC stuff while I'm also doing my prep for Emerge training, which is candidate training that I'll do for 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Again, Malin, thank you for jumping in today. I really appreciate it. And,
thank you for having me.
We'll talk soon. Come on back, join our Discord. And like I said, the offer's there. If I can help, let me know, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye, Malin. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.
Do you want to eat me?
No, Eve. Well, you said you had something special, and I'll take a quick break. So I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. We had a mod announcement written by a member of our community that is just too good. It has to be read.
I'm so excited.
So, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary, welcome to the Silver Facts Live, where the beard is silver, the reeds are platinum, and the trolls get dragged harder than a busted wig in a wind tunnel. This ain't Fox News, sweetie. We deal in facts, not feelings. So buckle up, because Daddy's handing out reality checks, and they don't bounce. Tap that screen like you're trying to resurrect your last relationship, and send those hearts like you're desperate for validation. Hit that share button like your rent depends on it. Goals are up, so don't be stingy, baby. If you've got the coins, let's see that generosity sparkle brighter than your ex's lies. Subscribe to FactsStillMatter.site if you like truth unfiltered and your tea piping. Smash that YouTube sub like you're swiping left on stupidity. And let's be real, mods are lurking like bad decisions at 2 a.m., so keep it cute or you'll get muted faster than a MAGA hat in a pride parade because
Wow.
here we don't play, we slay all day. Thank you, Scotty.
Scotty.
Damn.
Damn. Damn.
That was hot.
Yeah, that's gonna put me out of business. Jeez, sister.
That
Eve,
was
can we just talk
fabulous.
about how perfect your voice is? Every single time I come on Steve's Live, I legitimately wait for your mod announcements because they are by far my favorite.
Oh, you
Second
I,
flatter me
favorite part
so
of the
much.
show. Steve
I have my phrase for Eve making dampness happen.
Hey now.
Dampening Dames Daily. Way to
Speaking of
go,
that, I've got to
Daddy.
send you. I've got to send you an Instagram reel, Steve, because you'll like it. You'll like it.
Well,
Eve, thank you for that.
Thank you,
yes,
Eve.
sir. Thank you. I'm gonna
Thank you,
bounce
Eve.
down.
Okay,
Love
see you later.
y'all.
All right, bye.
Bye.
All right. Again, thank you to everybody for contributing to that.
Hey,
Listen,
you want to hear some good news?
Sure.
For the first time in 2 years, I don't owe $5,000 to the government for taxes. I'm actually getting a refund this year.
That's amazing. I
Literally the
want
last
to
2
I want to
years.
I want to thank Amelin for jumping in because it's always you never two things, right? We want to make sure that we're providing pushback. I'll call it, for lack of a better terms, pushback when people who want to hold office. And I'm not here to tell someone how to do their campaign, but I think it's really, really important, especially for progressives, to own your shit. Because again, lean on the fact that the overwhelming majority of the people that you're going to be representing nationally, because you'll be a federal elected official, support what you support. And that's important, right? And by the way, Quick Star is still saying he's going to destroy me tomorrow night. So everybody come on back for that. That'll be fun.
Speaking of tomorrow night, I would like to seek your permission to resume my very first role with you, which was as the arbiter of facts.
Oh, sure. You want a mod?
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody thinks so Quick Start. Nobody thinks you're going to show. So we'll see. But yes, I would be honored for you to have that honor, sir.
Cool.
I will
and
partake in margaritas.
just so what was something star?
Quick Star with a K.
Quick Star with a K. Interesting. Spelling has never been America's strong suit.
I might even stretch.
Yeah. I will.
No, they do want you to show up. We all think you're afraid. So just again, man, are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? It's really simple.
I want you to show up, but if I throw a flag and say something is not a fact, it's going to be on you or Steve to prove me wrong, not the other way around. So you have to be willing to be checked.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand checking, perhaps you need to speak to our friend from up north who can teach you about sticks and elbows.
Exactly. So the die has been cast, as they say. Quick Star, here's the question. Are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? Thank you. All right.
Can I invite some people from Instagram? Because I was debating some assholes on my Instagram, and they really weren't just like, they had no points, and they were like, oh my gosh, you're not doing, and I was like, well, you're not being serious, so I'm not going to take you seriously.
Yeah, that's fine. That's no problem. So I thank you for this, for Obi. Trump's approach to tariffs is quite simply reckless. Here's why. Number one, inflation will skyrocket. These tariffs are essentially a tax on American consumers and businesses, which we know. Two, there's no real plan for bringing back manufacturing. If we're serious about restoring or reshoring, we need a thoughtful, actionable strategy, not slogans, Manufacturing will not return just because we say so or raise costs. 3, we're alienating our allies. Tariffs without diplomacy damage long-standing relationships and weaken global positions. 4, it's a shotgun approach. Effective tariffs are targeted. Blanket measures hurt everyone. This isn't a strategy. It's chaos masquerading as strength. Leadership requires vision, discipline, bless you, and the ability to make smart, calculated moves. All Trump has going for him is a complete lack of ambition, and that's not leadership. That's danger. Hello, Jess.
Sorry, guys. I'm allergic to MAGA. That's why I was sneezing. I don't want to catch that.
Okay. Hi, Jess.
Hello, beautiful.
New Jersey.
Uh-oh.
You've
The
got
deep
MAGA
state got
Wi-Fi.
you.
Request again and come on back up because you've got MAGA Wi-Fi. What did you
She
send
just
me,
wanted to
Victoria?
see my beautiful face.
What did you send?
You watch that off app.
Oh, okay. I won't play that now. Okay. Fair enough.
It just follows up with what our conversation from yesterday, and you want to watch it now. It will make you break.
Nope. I got you yesterday though, didn't I?
You did.
I told you I would. I told you I would.
You did. I was not.
So
guys, this guy's a menace.
Okay. Just one more thing that I wanted to kind of get to before, the market is, it peaked at around 1,500 points up. It's now climbing back a little bit. None of us, obviously, we don't, first of all, 2 things. I don't like that the stock market is consistently identified as a major indicator of our economic health.
It is not.
It's not, but it gets depicted that way. I don't like that. I've never liked that because we know that by and large, individual investors are not you and me. People who have 401ks or pension plans, we play the market because that's where our retirement plans exist. But as we said over and over again, since Inauguration Day, $11 trillion in wealth has been transferred. $11 trillion. So the fact that entire family inheritance and legacies and retirement is so dependent on the stock market is another problem, right? So we are now find ourselves in this position where we are begging and praying for these things to work, and they just aren't. Right, Obi?
Yeah. Listen, we can have that discussion.
Sure we can.
That would take an entire lot.
Sure it would.
But keep in mind that the reason why it is considered a leading standard as an indice is because it impacts all aspects of our lives, because all of the companies that are public, including agribusinesses, are indeed impacted by NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P, right? So these things affect their ability to raise capital. And when that happens, it hits the economy. And I think that's where the confusion comes in, is that people aren't quite sure how to parse the difference between their 401k and a corporation's ability to raise capital.
Correct. Right.
Because those are 2 completely separate exercises. Yes, they're symbiotic, but they're not that close.
And it just shows you by and large how artificial the stock market actually is, because like you had this conversation yesterday that there was this rumor going around that the tariffs are going to be paused 90 days and this market spiked. Now Trump has gone out publicly this morning saying he's renegotiating with Japan and South Korea. So that's another artificial spike, right? So hi, welcome back, Jess. Everything good now with your MAGA Wi-Fi?
Yes, I think so. I live in the boondocks. Sorry, guys.
You live in the boondocks. This is Vermont calling. Hold my beer.
Well, we can match it, except I don't get as much snow, but that's
it's
always
still snowing,
fun.
by the way.
It's
yeah, it's nice.
I'm really excited about tomorrow. You're debating?
Yes, we're debating.
Ooh.
Yeah, Quick Star's not going to show though, but yes. Are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? I want to play a little sound here. This is Larry Kudlow, who's on Fox. Larry is, he's got some economics chops. So he's interviewing Scott Bessent, who is the Treasury Secretary, and Felice and I spent time yesterday talking about how Scott Bessent looks like he's a hostage. Like the next thing we're going to see is you're going to see "Help Me" written on his eyelashes, and he'll be blinking a lot because he's going to lose his entire reputation as someone who's was revered as an economist, right? And now he's connected to the demise of American retirement funds and Social Security, et cetera. So this apparently, I have not heard this yet. This apparently is a pretty decent breakdown.
Just heard, I don't know if you heard Art Laffer in the prior interview, but Art doesn't believe that the trade deficit should be a metric. I don't really either. I mean, Mr. Secretary, if you get your tax cuts, and I guess you're well on the way, you get your deregulation. These are all huge pro-growth items. Okay. We will grow. We, the United States, will grow faster than Japan. We will grow faster than almost anybody. Therefore, almost by definition, by growing faster than the rest of the world, we're always going to have a trade deficit. So I don't know why you'd want to use the trade deficit in a calculation for a reciprocal charge. I understand your point about non-tariff barriers. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I would have chosen a handful of countries, I don't know, maybe 10 or a dozen countries, and really carefully pinpointed it. But to apply this to the whole world on the basis of trade deficits, is that really the best in your judgment? You've been around a long time. You've looked at these. You've done analysis. Is that really where we should be at?
No.
Well, look, Larry, the trade deficit, as you and Art know, is a result of three things. It's a result of the terms of trade, it's a result of our budget deficit, and it's the result of the level of the dollar. And
he just got dunked on sufficiently, which is exactly what Obi was talking about earlier. We have always used targeted tariffs. It's not anything new. I mean, the Chips and Science Act is, I think, is a perfect example about how we were so dependent on silicon chips being made in China and in Japan. China and Taiwan, that we had to do something, right? So therefore, you invest. Oh, here's a great concept. You invest in domestic manufacturing for silicon chips. You build these plants, and now you're not as dependent, and you prop up an industry that previously didn't exist with the exception of IBM for the most part in our country.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that a lot of people
strategy.
don't realize that, especially MAGA, they don't realize the difference between a blanketed tariff and targeted tariffs, right? And like when you put a blanketed tariff on something, the intention is,
That's debate.
so with a targeted tariff, the intention is to get those specific products to be manufactured here. With a blanket tariff, we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have our unemployment rate is low. Who's working these jobs? We're deporting migrants right now. Well, how are we doing this? How? So a blanketed tariff the intention is to have everything manufactured here in this country. It is impossible for us to do.
Well, and to add to this, having worked in an industry that was negatively affected by these the first time. So from 2017 to 2019, I worked in international logistics. My job was
How did Quickstar call me his girlfriend? I don't even know who that is.
Gross.
Sorry, Victoria.
Look, she's mine. Get fucked. Anyway.
Get fucked.
So as someone who worked in this industry, and it did affect the domestic side because I worked for 5 years in international domestic logistics. But when we were trying to do this, there was a big company that thought that they were going to benefit from these tariffs. And what they found out quickly is they could not compete with China prices. So we had $3.5 million sitting on like ships in the ocean waiting to try and figure out how we were going to do it because we had contracts with these big corporations that are based out of Atlanta, north of Atlanta. And what happened was the company ended up having to take the hit because we had contracts with the companies and had to take on the additional cost. And I consequently lost my job, and they outsourced my job to China because it was cheaper than to keep me on the roles. And they also outsourced a couple other roles in the company. That's what's going to happen because there is no way that you can compete with mosaic pricing out of China here in the States. There's no way you can create glass mosaics the same way. I worked in the tile industry, to be very clear. And it was very negative for the company. And now, years later, they're looking at bankruptcy because now they can't compete. They can't compete. They can't stay here. And where does that negatively impact you? Home Depot, Lowe's, Yep. Any of those small distributors, if you're looking to do remodels on your houses, guess what? That shit's going to cost you an arm and a fucking leg.
Going to cost you the price of your house.
You won't be paying $2 a square foot anymore. You'll be paying something like $10, $15 a square foot just to get the same products.
I want to remind folks of a few things as the reason I changed the background is because, first of all, no one would disagree that we would actually like to identify legitimate waste, fraud, and abuse. I don't think there's anybody that would disagree with that. I've said this a million times. Just because you don't agree with something does not mean it's fraud, waste, or abuse, right? So I share this with you now because the person who's been telling us that we're wasting money by providing MEMA and PPAW their Social Security and or their Medicaid, Medicare, or feeding hungry children, or propping up communities that have been impacted by a pandemic or some sort of massive health outbreak. Tech billionaire Elon Musk's space company, SpaceX, was recently handed a $5.9 billion contract subsidized by taxpayers, even as his so-called Department of Government Efficiency continues to take a wrecking ball to key government agencies. The U.S. Space Force announced on April 4th that Musk's SpaceX was among 3 companies awarded government contracts for the National Security Space Launch Phase 3 Lane 2 program. SpaceX will receive more than $5.9 billion of the $13.7 billion in spending that was announced. Musk is the CEO of SpaceX and owns 42% of the company. While SpaceX is newly flush with government money, Musk's Doge has been laying off critical federal workers at multiple agencies. Federal judges have ruled that some of those firings are illegal. At the Social Security Administration, for example, Doge has cut 7,000 jobs, even though millions of Americans rely on their Social Security payments for day-to-day living. The Washington Post reports that the agency's website, which citizens use to access information on their benefits, had repeated outages in recent weeks. But Felon, what is Elmo? The police calls him Elmo. But Elmo is looking out for you, right? Meanwhile, he's getting a $5.9 billion, another $1 billion contract with the U.S. government, but no waste, fraud, and abuse.
Yeah, that's disgusting. Because, what is he doing with the money? I want to have a report.
Getting richer.
Can we just say that, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, those things, those are all things that you pay for. I don't know if you guys need to know that. Like, I'm not speaking to us. We all fucking know. But for the MAGA in the comments and the Republicans, you pay for those things. So imagine paying for something and then not getting the service. You'd be a little annoyed. Paying for a cup of coffee and not getting anything for it, you'd be angry. Social Security is the same fucking thing. It doesn't need to be cut. It is just there. You deserve time. Fuck. I don't understand why they like punishing themselves. You just don't want to have time off. You want to work until you're in the grave. You do
to
you,
own
boo-boo.
The libs.
You do you, boo-boo.
To own the libs.
But personally,
they'll suffer to own us.
Yeah.
That's all what it comes down to. It's just a point of, they just want to say, see, libs, we got you.
Love that for them.
Just real quick, I want to just thank a couple people. Thank you to John for purchasing the new I am fucking Zen mug. Also, there's some new items in the merch store. I don't know if
Steve.
Yes.
How are you feeling today? Are you Zen?
I am fucking Zen, Obi. Thanks for asking. Damn it.
He's Silver Facts. He is Zen.
Okay, fine. Somebody did a video with their new Silver Facts shirt last night and tagged me in it. I don't even know how to respond to it when I see it. But by the way, new shirts in the merch store in advance of 420. There's that. And we also have this one, which I love.
Oh shit. I like that.
Which I love. So those items are in the merch store. So thank you to everybody. Appreciate you guys. Real quick, let me just double check over here. Thank you all for your kind contributions today to what we do around here, because that's the best way to support the channel. All right, I think we're going to wrap. It's a good spot to stop.
Alice in Wonderland said I'm wearing my shirt right now.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, Andy in Wonderland. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I don't even know how to react. When I see my face on a shirt, I'm just like, thank you.
Good morning, Jimmy.
I want you to picture this.
Appreciate that.
You go to the dryer and you pull out a shirt to fold, and as you're folding, I'm looking at your fucking face.
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time.
That's a little freaky. That's and not even just a little freaky. That's like really freaky.
Freaky,
Hold on.
freaky.
You know
Speaking
what's really
of,
funny? Your text messages were unhinged yesterday, Steve. You do this to yourself. I'm
I was
gonna
trying to
say what
crack you up.
Tracy said.
It worked. It
It
totally
did work.
worked.
It did work.
All right. So as is the case, whenever folks are on the panel, when we wrap, last words. Jess, we'll start with you.
So I don't know if you guys got to see, but I was in New York City this past Saturday. It was a breathtaking experience. So for those of you who have never been to a protest or been to a rally, if you are safe enough to do so, I suggest you do so, because the fire that it ignites inside of you to see those people come together, like in between the buildings, like when we were hearing people clap and roar and chant, it was like I I I couldn't have even expressed it through the camera while streaming. Like it literally hit inside my soul, you know. There are a lot of people. We're not going to go down quietly. And I just want everybody to feel a little bit better about the fact that, like, over 50 states, there were over 100 rallies, and some of them had over 100,000 people at them. So, like, we're not going to go down quietly. We're going to do everything that we can. And I also just want to say one more thing, if you don't mind, Steve.
Yes.
When we are on this app, I totally understand that it is a public app, but people's stories are private. And if they decide that they want to share their stories in this public app, we need to take that and realize that it is still their story to tell. So please make sure when you guys are sharing your stories in platforms that you feel safe, that you are not sharing any sensitive information, because it is still a public platform. People can still record you. People can still take that information, right? So just make sure you're safeguarding yourself within your stories, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's sexual assault, whether it's rape, any of those things. Please make sure that you're safeguarding yourself and don't tell anybody anything that you don't want in the public. I know these platforms, I know Steve is a safe space for a lot of us. I know that MBW has become a safe space. I know that the people that come on this panel have become safe spaces for us. But again, it is still a public platform, and anybody can watch and anybody can take those stories and record them and replay them at any time. So just be careful and be cautious.
I love that. Thank you for saying that, Jess. And for those of you who don't recall, my BDSM results said I like to watch. I'm just leaving that right there. Victoria, what would you like to say in closing?
I want to add on a little bit to what Jess said. You know, we are creators on this app, and we do have a duty to protect our communities. You know, I have been very disappointed in a couple of larger creators as of late. And I want to remind every person on here that we are what you see on this app. Not all of us are. Not all of us are safe spaces. And it do not hold us or put us on a pedestal, because we are still humans, and there are some of us that aren't actually good people but portray ourselves as good people. And myself included, I want you to vet me. I want you to make sure of that, because, you know, I understand that my small platform, I still have a lot of people, and I have a duty to protect you, a duty to, you know, use my space wisely and stand on principle. So I want to remind everyone that. Also, if you would like to help campaigns, today would be a great day to go to my, you know, page and interact with my videos, like, share, and save those, because it helps it. You know, if you have the capacity to donate to my campaign, please donate $4.08, and that will tell me you came from TikTok. I am working on getting back to postcard writing, so it might be a little bit before I get right up back on it. And, you know, activism is a muscle, so get involved. Pick one thing that you're good at, pick one thing you can do, and join the fight, because you're needed in it. Say hi to the blue.
Thank you, Victoria. Appreciate you. Obi.
I want to echo everything that was just said about this space. It's all men until it's no men. People's personal stories are none of your fucking business. And just because some people have shared with other people doesn't give them the right to share.
Right.
I think
That's
people
right.
need to kind of get to some 12-step principles, right? If you're having a conversation with somebody, what's said there stays there. We share things to help educate and to bring awareness, not because we want the fucking drama. If you want drama, go someplace else. But if you want to become aware and help to unpack your own personal bullshit, stick around. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. On behalf of our wife and myself, we want to continue to thank those who have put their faith and trust in us. That is fucking hot.
Yeah.
That just gave me all sorts of Wonder Woman shifting in chair vibes.
I've got my toga. I've got my toga packed, ready to go.
Nice. But more importantly, um, let's do stand on business, right? Let's continue to hold each other accountable.
That's right.
But more importantly, let's do it in a way that's constructive and that also simultaneously lifts people up. We are all imperfect, but if we stand on business as a community, we can be there to check each other and we can be there to support and love each other because we are people, right?
Yep.
And I want to say this. I am so looking forward to tomorrow because a lot of you don't know
Tomorrow night.
the Anthony Steve story, right? And how this started.
It's a love story from way back.
Damn near 3 years ago. And my very, very, very first mod assignment was to sit quietly on the live and take notes and then fact check. So
I
I
love
am
that.
really
I
looking
love that.
forward to getting back to that. I will have extra towels on the chair and extra clothes
Oh
on
my
the
God.
standby because the slacks will be moist as I'm fact checking.
Jesus.
See, now
one more-
it's also important to keep reminding people that even though I have a sweet and angelic face, I'm still Obi.
That's
and
true.
I will
still
always
Obi.
be Obi.
Can I plug one more thing before you go, Steve?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So Friday night, I think 8:30 Eastern Standard. If you go, yes, 8:30 Eastern Standard. I am doing a motherfucking battle. It is my first one-on-one battle. I would really like it if you guys can come support, show some love, send some heart me's. If you have the gifts, send the fucking gifts. I don't know the person I'm battling. However, he has to make pig noises if he loses. So
Do you also have to make pig noises
I'm
if you
not telling.
lose?
No, because I don't want you guys to purposely make me lose. So I have to
Oh,
make
I'm not
pig
gonna
noises.
make you lose. We're gonna do our best to support you. I'm just
Yes,
curious.
I do.
Okay.
Yes, I
Okay.
do.
Okay. We'll be
I
there.
don't know.
We
You
got
guys
you.
talking about a toga makes me want to watch Animal House. I need a classic movie in my life right now.
Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor?
Mr. Niedermeyer.
Actually, before we leave, let me just do this. Wait, I gotta do this. Hold on. I gotta find it. Wait.
Apologies for making people choke and
Do I
or
have it?
spit coffee.
You should never apologize for being choked.
Do I have it? I don't know if I have it. Hold on a second. Maybe I don't. I don't have it. Damn it. I don't have it. My bad.
Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor.
I was going to
Thank
say,
you,
fat, drunk,
Andy.
and stupid is no way to go through life, son. I'll just do it myself. All right. First of all, I just want to address a couple things. I'm glad you said what you said, Jess, Victoria, and Obi. I think I want to say this to the three of you because I've given each of you feedback at times about things, and you've all responded as adults would respond. You didn't take it personally, and similarly, each one of you has given me feedback, and I like to think. I'll ask you. I would like to think that I responded as an adult would. And that's the point. That's what we try to do here every single day to remind people that we are all, although I don't want to use the word broken anymore. I don't like that. I would like to change that we've been rattled by our life and we are responding to it, whether it be grief, whether it be anxiety, whatever that might be. So we're all in this together. We're here to fight. We're here to stand up. We're here to stand for people that we represent and those that we don't, and to call shit out every single day. You know, Victoria's out there punching Nazis. Jess is doing the same. Anthony is guilting people into realizing that they're fucking stupid. And I'm just here to kind of facilitate it all. We all have a purpose. We all have got something that we have to do. We all have gifts. No one is expecting everyone to run for office. Victoria's got that covered. Jess is trying to make a difference with MBW. Obi is reminding people that there is a better way to do things every single day. And I agree with all of that. Whatever your gift is, just do it. Just do it. Whatever your gift is. Speaking of gifts, I want to be able to go and rate our friend Matt, because Felice is on with Matt today. So everybody please head over there. And again, tomorrow night.
USMC Angry Vet.
Yes,
No.
USMC Anchor Bet. Tomorrow night, we are going to have, a regular show tomorrow, 8 a.m. to noon Eastern time. But tomorrow night, Quick Star's not going to show. We know that. But I'll be there in case anybody wants to. Are you brave enough to debate a soy boy? We'll find out. Thank you, friends. Love you, mods.